Hello everybody, I am Sebastian. Welcome in, and this is going to be my first video on the game Godforge, which is developed by Fateless. One of the founders is Simon, which is one of the biggest content creators for Raid Shadow Legends. So I decided that I was going to sign up for the alpha. I was fortunate enough to get into the first wave, so I did give the game a little bit of a spin just to familiarize myself as to what the concept is going to be. And I also wanted to see what the similarities might be from Raid Shadow Legends and what spin they might add to this to make it a little bit different from all the other gacha games that are in the market. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to quickly cover the two things that I found fascinating about the game and that will get me to come back to try it again in Alpha 2. Everything else, I imagine that there were a lot of bugs that were found. They have submitted. I even found a couple of ones that I saw that other people had reported when I was playing the game. But it's expected to come from an Alpha 1. So I want to be fair to the game. So I'm just going for this video. I'm just going to give you what my first impressions were and what mechanics are going to really intrigue me about the game, and eventually come back into it in the Alpha 2 and devote time to it, because I did find some stuff very intriguing. Now, I'll at least from a development just point here, it's for this rare here called Isolde. I found her extremely fascinating. This is one of my favorite heroes in the game, but it's a rare, and I was extremely surprised as to how, at least early on, she seems to be so powerful. One of the things that I found intriguing about her is that not only does she have this leader bonus where it gives the allies extra speed, but on top of that, she not only has this defense up, which is essentially just makes your heroes tougher, but she can also boost their turn meter, so they come up in the turn a little bit quicker. As a kicker, she can clean debuffs as well. This is all on a rare. I would expect something like this to be like a kit of a legendary, but for a rare, I found this extremely fascinating. I mean, I could see this hero being carried all the way to probably whatever their end game is, or late game. You know, like you really push your progression. So I found her extremely fascinating out of all the heroes, and I will say that at least for the level or the amount of time that I got to play the game, I didn't really push too far into the cavern. I think I ended up like at 65 or so before they finally shut down the servers. But just having her in my composition, I knew everything else was going to be a piece of cake, especially on who else I picked. Now, one of the things that I did, at least, and that I probably suffer from in this evaluation, is that I didn't really rely on the epics and the legendaries that were popping into the account after I was farming, because I really wanted to see how far I could push with the rares in this game. So you can kind of see the investment here on the rares. This is what I was going for. The epic here, and I can't remember exactly. I think the legendaries just wanted to give him a bit of a spin and see how he behaved. But I think that the epic here that I did get, I used it just for a level to clear a condition, and then I put him on the shelf essentially. So for Alpha 2, I will make a little bit more of a conscious effort of playing with the epics and the legendary. For this, I just pretty much was just going with the rares, trying to see what these rares could do, how far I could push it into it. And I've done that. Ramses and Isolde, favorite character so far. If I were just to be playing free to play, just starting out the game and pushing things with rares in a type of like a rare challenge or something like that. So very fascinating in that regard. But a couple of things that I wanted to cover here, at least from all the footage that I collected, just not to make this video too long. But the first thing that I did found fascinating in terms of hero builds. Of course, we have the standard stuff that we have with any other gacha games that is in the game, right? Where anytime that we're going to build a hero, it's all going to be depending on the sets that we put on them, and then what type of substats we're going to be looking for each one of the sets, and then the main stat, of course. But essentially, we're going to have to build according to what type of hero there are, and then filling in the corresponding stats that we need to have that hero have, so it functions adequately, right? So I imagine with any type of support, we're going to want HP, defense, possibly some speed, and in it, and accuracy resistance based on their kit. For damage dealers, it's going to be what? Attack, crit rate, crit damage, maybe some speed. But here's one of the aspects I'm going to come to here is called this init, which is actually very stat that I found is going to be very essential for your ultimate. But I'll come back because that is the second point. That is the other one. That was the other intriguing aspect of this that I found that it will get me to come back to Alpha 2. But the first one is here with these weapons. So there's these weapons that you can place on the hero, and each one of these weapons has a different substat to it. So like you see here in this weapon, it says when they ignore 5% of resistance, or you're going to have conditions where you're going to be able to activate some type of random damage in debuff. So in this case, it would be burn just for or bleed, for an example, just to get a little bit of damage with that. So the weapon itself has a specialized statistic, and so you can build around that if you need to, and then you can level the weapons up. But the other thing that I really found intriguing, and I think that is going to really add a different spin to this game, is going to be this imprinting when it comes to adding diversity to the weapon. So I'm actually on the portion of the game where it's kind of where you're going to go into your imprint library. This is where you're going to find all your imprints. So one of the things that I was toying around is that they have this little tab here that is called extraction. Unfortunately, I did not get to unlock these two, the transmutation and schematic. So hopefully I get to learn more about that in wave 2. But at least for this one, I got to learn about the extraction. So here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick a random rare. I just wanted to see exactly what this entailed. So you can see here that it says that each time it takes a debuff, it gains damage reduction from attacks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extract that imprint, and I'm essentially burning the character. That's what happened. Tristan is gone. But then I can come here to the weapon, and what I can do is I can select the weapon that I want that specific imprint on. So here's Tristan's imprint, and I just added it to the weapon. And so now that passive is going to get applied to any hero that I put that weapon on, and they're going to be able to utilize it. So if for some reason we know that we're going into a stage we're going to get debuffs applied to us, now I can bring this hero, which to make sure that they gain damage reduction when that debuff is applied, which is adding diversity to the build. And that is another one of the things that I found really intriguing about it, and it's something that I'm looking forward to play a little bit more in the Alpha 2. Now, when it comes to the other thing that I was telling you about is in the battle mechanics here. One, it was, of course, speed is going to be a factor because that will pretty much tell you which where you're going to come up in the turn, right? So Assault DP in the first one was key because, of course, she's going to apply defense up. It's going to boost the turn meter for everybody else. Everybody can then lap the enemies, and they're ready to go. Your allies are ready to go, right? But all of that only applies to either one of the two moves that they have to their arsenal here, which is the basic and the core. So you can see here in the previous turn, Assault use her core move. That's why it's in a 5-turn cooldown. So this is very standard with any type of turn-based gacha games that we know that are in the market, right? So you have your skills, and they're all based on where you're coming up with your turn. Or in some aspects, some games have something called vigor, right? So you need so much vigor build up before that hero can use its powerful move. But in this regard here, each hero has a ultimate, a very powerful move, the one that does the most damage or possibly provide more protection, or just does something that cleans debuffs, for example, right? It's just the move that hero's kit is specialized at. But one of the things that I found really intriguing here, as you can see here behind me, is that, at least for Ramses, that his ultimate right now is ready, right? It is charged. It has all the divinity that it needs for you to be able to use it. But as you can see here, Ramsey is not nowhere anywhere close to being his turn. But I could click on it. I could say, I want to use it. I want to skip a soldier. I want to use this guy's ultimate. Let's clean the wave. So this is another aspect of the game that I found intriguing, because this soldiers means you're not depending on speed. Speed is not going to be the only factor. It's going to be that divinity, that in it, that line that I showed you in the whole, all the stats that were outlined, that you need to make sure that you build in it into your character in addition to speed, because in it will tell you how fast you can charge that ultimate, how quickly is going to be available to you. That is another aspect of this game that I did find very, very intriguing, and that I hope to toy around a little bit more later on. As you can see here again, a Soldi is up first, but I can skip here. I can skip my turn, and I'm going to use the ultimate here, and I'm just going to wipe the wave. It's just very, very, very intriguing as to this different spin that they added to it. So essentially what they did is they kind of safeguarded themselves on saying, no, speed is not going to be all. It's going to play a role, but it's not the all and all. Like Raid Shadow Legends, right? Where if you could master as much speed as you can in your characters, you're going to win. That's essentially what's coming up. There's going to be a little bit of a mix here in terms of how this is going to develop. Now, I would say quickly, the one thing I'm looking forward to before this goes into beta, or possibly gets added to beta, is going to be a specialized kind of turn order that you can kind of program into the heroes. So, for example, if I know in a wave I'm going to get debuffs applied, I want to make sure that a Soldi that uses her special debuff clean move before she uses, like, if, for example, if her ultimate is available and then she uses it up. Just little things like that. Or if I know that I want to save one of my ultimates here from a hero from not being used in wave 2, but I can use it in wave 3, that then make sure that the hero does not use them. At least from what I picked up in the AI, at least at the very early stages, so I do expect some changes to come, is that as soon as the ultimate was available, they would use it, and then as soon as the core was available, they would use it. So hopefully down the line they can improve that a little bit, but that's kind of the kind of improvements that I'm looking for in the next iterations of the alphas that are coming here, because they have announced that they're going to do 3 alphas here. Given what I learned from the first alpha, definitely it'll get me to come back and try the alpha 2. I think that this is going to be a fun game. They also have paid a lot of attention in terms of the modeling, the artistic style, everything that they're introducing in terms of their whole design. So let me go back here. I mean, there is a lot of attention that is being paid here when it comes to hero builds, and I imagine that once the alphas are completed going into the beta, the sharpness is just going to come through a little bit more. We're going to be able to see these really pop out on the screen as we see with other gacha games. So aside from that, I was just going to say, yes, there's a little bit of an influence here from Raid Shadow Legends. I kind of did expect that, because these are fans of turn-based gacha games. They just wanted to add their own different spin into this, and that's what I'm looking forward to seeing, how eventually this comes out. A lot of the mechanics that we know from games, ascending, awakenings, ranking up, that's all, it's all similar. Anybody coming in here is going to be able to pick it up really early on. The only thing that is going to be different is going to, for some of them, is going to be this whole weapon imprinting. Some other games use artifacts and stuff like that. This is kind of what I think about in terms of the weapon imprinting. And the other aspect of it is about the whole kind of the ultimate available when it's ready. So it's kind of like a brawler type, as soon as it's ready, you use it. But there's also a turn-based aspect of it. So they're trying to mix the two together. So that is all the fascinating aspect of it. This is what's going to get me to come back to try this out in Alpha 2. So to the community manager who hooked me up for Alpha 1, I do appreciate it. And I look forward to trying that out again in the Alpha 2 wave. Thank you all very much for tuning and watching. I will see you all in the next Godforge video.